Gretzky! Quick shot, wide of the net. Gretzky!
Wayne Gretzky wasn't just good, he was unstoppable. Some even call him the greatest of all time. At first glance, he didn't look like a dominating hockey player. He wasn't big, standing at 6 feet tall and weighing around 185 pounds. And he didn't play with overwhelming physicality like some of the enforcers of his era. But when Gretzky was on the ice, he made everything look easy. His vision, his ability to read the game, and his speed of thought were unmatched. He wasn't just ahead of the play, he was ahead of the entire game. This is why many people still refer to him as the Great One. By the way, this content is the hard work of one person who is passionate about bringing you the best insights. If you found it valuable, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. It truly helps and motivates me to keep going. Thanks for being a part of this journey. Gretzky's list of accomplishments is almost unbelievable. Over his 20-year NHL career, he scored 894 goals, which remains the most of any player in NHL history. He also holds the record for the most assists, with 1,963, and his total points, 2,857, is a number that no one has come close to breaking. In fact, if Gretzky had never scored a single goal, he would still be the all-time points leader just from his assists. These numbers alone tell the story of a player who wasn't just great at scoring, but also made everyone around him better. His dominance didn't just come from stats, though. Gretzky had an extraordinary hockey IQ. He had a unique ability to be in the right place at the right time, often seeing plays develop before anyone else on the ice could even react. This ability to anticipate the game gave him a huge advantage over his competitors. While other players relied on size or speed, Gretzky's mind was always his greatest weapon. But what really made Gretzky stand out was his consistency. He didn't have just a few great seasons. He was the best player in the world for over a decade. From 1981 to 1987,
no question, my friend Wayne Gretzky.
And ninth and final time, an NHL record.
He won 8 consecutive Hart trophies as the NHL's most valuable player. No one else in history has achieved anything close to that level of dominance. His 1981-82 season in particular was one of the greatest in sports history when he set the record for most goals in a season with 92, another mark that still stands today. Many players have a prime period where they are at their best, but for Gretzky, his prime lasted almost his entire career. Even in his later years, when he wasn't as fast or agile, his intelligence and understanding of the game kept him a step ahead of younger players. It's why he remained an elite player until the day he retired. When people talk about the greatest athletes of all time, names like Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, and Serena Williams often come up. But in the hockey world, there's no debate. Wayne Gretzky is, without a doubt, the greatest to ever play the game. Before Wayne Gretzky arrived in the NHL, hockey was already an exciting sport, but it didn't have the same widespread popularity that it enjoys today. The league was smaller, and although there were star players, no one had ever dominated the game the way Gretzky would. His arrival changed not only the Edmonton Oilers, but also the entire sport of hockey. Without Gretzky, hockey might not have reached the same level of global recognition. When Gretzky joined the Oilers in 1979, he immediately raised the stakes for the franchise. The Oilers were a solid team, but they had never won a Stanley Cup. They had talent, but they were missing the key player to push them to the top. When Gretzky came into the picture, expectations skyrocketed. It wasn't enough for the team to make the playoffs anymore. With a player like Gretzky, the pressure was on to win championships. Every season that didn't end with a Stanley Cup felt like a failure. By 1984, Gretzky delivered the Oilers their first Stanley Cup, and he led them to win 4 more by 1988. But the stakes went beyond just the Oilers. Gretzky's success also had a huge impact on the NHL as a whole. Hockey at the time was still largely seen as a regional sport in North America, with a strong fan base in Canada and northern US cities. Gretzky's dominance changed that. His skill and style of play drew new fans to the sport. Arenas sold out when the Oilers played, and Gretzky's games became must-watch television. His name became synonymous with the NHL, and suddenly, hockey had a superstar who transcended the sport.
The biggest sports trade of all time, Canadian national hero Wayne Gretzky to the Los Angeles Kings.
In 1988, Gretzky's trade to the Los Angeles Kings raised the stakes even further, not just for his own career, but for the future of hockey in the U.S. Many people see this as the moment that changed the NHL forever. Moving to a non-traditional hockey market like Los Angeles helped grow the game in places where hockey wasn't as popular. This move also had long-term effects, as it paved the way for teams in cities like Dallas, Tampa Bay, and Las Vegas, expanding hockey's reach across the country. Gretzky didn't just change the Oilers, he changed the NHL. His impact can still be felt today. The NHL expanded, and new fans were brought into the game, and hockey became a more global sport. Without Gretzky's talent and the spotlight he brought to the league, the NHL might not have grown into the international powerhouse it is today. Wayne Gretzky's prime was unlike anything the NHL had ever seen. He wasn't just a great player for a short period, he dominated for over a decade. The heart of his prime came in the 1980s when he played for the Edmonton Oilers. During these years, he shattered almost every major record in the league. One of the most unbelievable parts of Gretzky's prime was...
To Gretzky! Scores! He did it! He did it! The greatest goal scorer in National Hockey League history!
His most famous season came in 1981-82, when he set the NHL record for most goals in a single season, with 92 goals. To this day, no one has even come close to breaking that record. In fact, the next closest player is Brett Hull, who scored 86 goals in 1990-91. But Gretzky didn't just score goals, he was also the best playmaker in the game. In the 1985-86 season, he set another record with 163 assists. To put that in perspective, most players don't even score 163 points in a season, goals and assists combined, let alone assists alone. That year, Gretzky finished the season with 215 points, which is still the highest single-season point total in NHL history. Gretzky's vision on the ice was unlike anything anyone had seen before. He had an almost magical ability to know where every player was at any given moment. His nickname, the Great One, wasn't just about his goal scoring, it was about how he could control the game. He was always in the right place at the right time, making perfect passes and setting up his teammates for easy goals.
It's kind of like a football pass where you just kind of loft it and let the receiver run onto it.
Many hockey analysts have said that Gretzky's ability to think 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone else on the ice was what really separated him from other great players. During his prime, Gretzky led the Oilers to 4 Stanley Cup championships, winning in 1984, 1985, 1987, and 1988. These championships solidified Gretzky's legacy as not only the best player of his era, but also as one of the most successful. In the 1985 Stanley Cup playoffs, for example, he set a record for the most points in a single postseason, with 47 points in just 18 games, another record that still stands today. Gretzky's prime wasn't just about personal accolades, he was a team player who helped lead the Oilers to the top of the league. Gretzky's consistency during his prime is perhaps what's most astonishing. He didn't just have 1 or 2 great seasons, he consistently produced at a historic level year after year. From 1981 to 1987, he scored over 200 points in 4 different seasons, something no other player has ever done even once. His durability and ability to stay at the top of his game for such an extended period are what truly define his greatness. Even after being traded to the Los Angeles Kings in 1988, Gretzky continued to put up elite numbers and helped turn the Kings into a competitive team, further proving that his prime extended well beyond just his time in Edmonton. By the time Gretzky retired in 1999, he held 61 NHL records, many of which still stand today. His prime years will forever be remembered as the greatest stretch of dominance in hockey history, and they helped to define the modern NHL. Wayne Gretzky didn't just dominate the game, he changed how hockey was played. Before Gretzky, the NHL was a much more physical and defensive league. Teams focused on checking, blocking shots, and grinding out low-scoring games. But Gretzky brought a new, faster, more dynamic style of play that emphasized speed, skill, and precision. He showed that you didn't need to be the biggest or the strongest player to dominate. You just needed to outthink and outmaneuver your opponents. One of the biggest ways Gretzky changed the game was through his playmaking ability. Before Gretzky, the spotlight in hockey was mostly on goal scorers. But Gretzky proved that a player who could pass and create scoring opportunities for others was just as valuable. His incredible vision on the ice allowed him to make passes that no one else could see. and this led to a more open, free-flowing style of hockey. The Gretzky pass, a behind-the-net pass to an open teammate in front of the goal, became one of the most dangerous plays in the game. This area behind the net even came to be known as Gretzky's office, because of how often he used it to set up goals. Gretzky's influence can still be seen in today's game. Many of the top players, such as Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid, have modeled their games after Gretzky's style. They focus on playmaking, vision, and speed, just like he did. Coaches also started designing strategies around having a skilled playmaker like Gretzky, someone who could set up their teammates while also being a scoring threat. The idea of building an offense around a playmaking center became more popular because of him, and it changed the way teams approached offense. Another way Gretzky changed the game was through his hockey IQ. He was always 2 or 3 steps ahead of everyone else on the ice. He knew where the puck was going before anyone else did, and he could anticipate plays long before they happened. This level of intelligence and strategy was something that players and coaches began to emulate. Suddenly, the game wasn't just about brute strength or physicality. It was about being smart, anticipating the play, and using your mind as much as your body. Gretzky's ability to slow the game down and control the pace also led to more creativity in how the game was played. Players learned to be more patient and to look for the best play instead of rushing a shot. Off the ice, Gretzky also had a huge influence on hockey's culture. He was one of the first players to make hockey more marketable, especially in the United States. When he was traded to the Los Angeles Kings in 1988, it was more than just a big move for the team. It was a game changer for the entire NHL. Gretzky helped popularize hockey in non-traditional markets like California, where the sport wasn't as well known. His presence brought new fans to the game and helped grow the NHL's fan base in the US. Gretzky's move to Los Angeles is often credited with paving the way for the league's expansion into the southern United States, leading to the creation of teams like the Dallas Stars, Anaheim Ducks, and Tampa Bay Lightning. His impact on the business side of hockey also opened doors for players to secure more lucrative endorsements and opportunities outside of the rink. He became one of the first hockey players to achieve global celebrity status, showing that NHL players could be household names not just in Canada, but across the world. In the end, Gretzky didn't just change how the game was played on the ice. He changed how the NHL grew and reached new fans. He made hockey a more skilled, creative, and strategic sport, and his influence is still visible in the way today's players approach the game. Wayne Gretzky's influence on hockey didn't end when he retired in 1999. In fact, his legacy continues to shape the sport today. Even though new generations of players have come into the league, no one has been able to match the impact that Gretzky had. His records still stand as a testament to his greatness, and they seem almost untouchable. With 61 NHL records to his name, including most career goals, assists, and points, Gretzky's achievements are still the gold standard for what it means to be the best. But Gretzky's legacy goes beyond just the numbers. He changed how the game was played, how it was marketed, and how it was viewed by fans around the world. Gretzky made hockey more about skill and intelligence than brute force, proving that smaller players could dominate if they played the game the right way. His ability to read the ice, anticipate plays, and create scoring opportunities wasn't just something that defined his career. It reshaped the entire sport. Even after his playing days, Gretzky remained involved in hockey, serving in coaching and executive roles, including as the head coach of the Phoenix Coyotes from 2005 to 2009. His influence on younger players is undeniable. Many of today's top stars, like Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid, grew up idolizing Gretzky, modeling their games after his style. They saw how he made the players around him better, and they've tried to do the same in their own careers. Off the ice, Gretzky's impact is still felt in how hockey has grown, especially in the United States. His trade to the Los Angeles Kings in 1988 not only brought attention to the sport, but also helped pave the way for the NHL to expand into new markets. Teams like the Anaheim Ducks, San Jose Sharks, and Vegas Golden Knights all owe part of their existence to Gretzky's role in popularizing the sport in areas where hockey wasn't traditionally popular. Gretzky's popularity also transcended hockey, turning him into a global sports icon. He was one of the first NHL players to achieve mainstream fame, appearing in commercials, TV shows, and even movies. He helped show that hockey players could be household names, not just in Canada but around the world. His clean image and humble personality made him a role model for young athletes, and his dedication to the game inspired millions of fans. As we look back on Wayne Gretzky's career, it's clear that his legacy isn't just about being the greatest hockey player of all time. It's about how he transformed the sport and inspired a new generation of players and fans. Even though his playing days are over, his influence is still felt every time a young player takes the ice, dreaming of achieving the impossible, just like Gretzky did. Thanks for watching. This content is the hard work of one person who's passionate about bringing you the best insights. If you found it valuable, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. It truly helps and motivates me to keep going. Thanks for being a part of this journey.